Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw.
So, welcome back to spoiler season of more Magic cards. This time we are in the world of Edge of Eternities. It is a space themed sci fi set for Magic the Gathering. I think I'm pretty excited about it actually. I like sci fi a lot. I'm curious to see what they do have. There's these new things called spacecraft, which resemble some kind of space station or spacecraft, giant vehicle that you can use as your commander now. And also the rules have changed where any legendary vehicle can be your commander. I've seen a bunch of stuff on Reddit. There's not many vehicle commanders out there that are probably super legit or fun to play with. So with this set, you should expect legendary vehicles or spacecraft as really good commanders. That's what I'm expecting. Without further ado, let's get into the spoilers. I'm gonna run through 5 cards. Then the next video, episode 2, is right after that. So make sure you watch them. Let me know what you think about any of the cards. Share this video if you need to tell a friend what they probably can do with these upcoming cards. Let's get started. So we have a Stelly Reclaimer here. I like the artwork. It looks like a angel on a planet taking it over and leading troops. I haven't read the lore yet for the entire set, but it seems pretty interesting. I do like sci-fi. Well, let's read her abilities. For 3 and 2 white, you get a 5/4 body angel warrior. She has flying. Then says when this creature enters, return target non-creature, non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this creature. Warp for 2 and a white. So first, I like the reanimation ability because you can bring back, let's see here, planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts, battles, vehicles. That's solid because you're gonna spend 5 mana to cast it. Then warp. If you don't know what warp means, warp is you may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost. Exile this creature at the beginning of your next end step, then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. So, okay, if you cast it for its warp cost, you get to reanimate the requirements or the criteria for 3 mana. Okay, cool. You get a 5/4 body, reanimation spell, you exile at the beginning of the next end step, which should be at the end of your turn. Then you can cast it later for 5 mana and reanimate something again. So to me, it looks like this warp plus this creature is it's 2 abilities on once, 2 enter the battlefield abilities, 2 reanimation abilities on one spell at different times. That's what this card is. Think that can be, yeah, that's a way. Looking at it as you're doubling up the power in your deck with one card. This has to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. Maybe I'm gonna guess it's going to be around $5 after a month later. So our second card here is Terminal Velocity for 4 double red. It's a sorcery. Hmm. It says you may put an artifact or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That permanent gains haste. When this permanent leaves the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature. And at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent. So after reading this, the first 2 cards that come to my mind are, let's see here, the Triplicate Titan and the Phyrexian Triniform, right? So they're like 9/9 artifact creatures that hit the battlefield. I believe they have really good power. I think the Triplicate Titan is like flying, trample, haste. But anyways, both of those artifact creatures, they are like 9/9s, but when they die, right, they split up into 3/3s. And I think this terminal velocity definitely works well with that card. You're instead of paying 9 mana for those artifact creatures that split into threes, you're paying 6 mana. They hit the battlefield, they attack your opponents. They have to be sacrificed at the beginning of your end step anyway, and you still get creatures on the battlefield while all at the same time You did a board wipe by dealing at least 9 damage to each other creature. That's a pretty good card. Otherwise, I'm really looking for, if I'm casting this card, I'm looking for creatures or artifacts that have a death trigger because I want to do something where I get a payout because I have to sacrifice them at the end step. Let me know in the comment section below what other powerful creatures or artifacts in red or any other color, because you can play with different guilds, that this card will work really well with. I think this is going to be a very solid card. If I had to guess the price, I'm going to guess, I can see this being like a $2 card a month after the set is released. It's going to find some uses. It definitely will. Our third card here is Temporal Intervention for 2 and a black. It's a sorcery. Uh, just to look at the artwork real quick. What is this alien creature? Alien creature. I guess I don't know all the characters in the lore yet, but he seems to be often. Then it's like an egg, but it looks like it's representing a planet. Pretty cool. Pretty cool artwork. Feels like I'm in Star Trek. Yeah. Anyway, temporal intervention for 2 and a black. Sorcery has void. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So, this is good. If you're sacrificing stuff anyway on your turn, you pretty much get a, looks like it becomes a thought seize. Yeah. So if you're a mono black, you're definitely sacrificing something on your turn, whether it's a artifact token like a clue, treasure token, something like that. You could play this for 1 mana. Look at your opponent's hand and get rid of something. Yeah, that's just a nice additional copy of Thoughtseize in my mind. Um, Also, if you warp the spell that turn, how could that really benefit you? Yeah, yeah. It's like paying 3 mana total because we just discussed a card that has a total of 3 mana for its warp cost. So I'm sure there's going to be cards that have 1 black mana for their warp costs. Well, I think this is like a nice mid-range to late game card to discard those counter spells in your opponent's hands while you get to do more effective things on your turn. Temporal intervention. This is gonna be a budget card later on. Don't worry about the price on this. All right, we got a Tezzeret. You already know. Whenever you see a Tezzeret, it is not budget friendly. There might be one Tezzeret that is budget friendly. I don't think this one will be. First of all, without even reading its text box, it is a colorless Tezzeret. That means it can go in any deck. And it's only 3 mana? No, no. All right, let's get busy. Tezzeret Cruel Captive for 3 mana, 4 loyalty counters, legendary planeswalker. It says whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret. Okay. First loyalty ability for 0, untap target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. -3, search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay. There's a bunch of artifacts like Mox Ambers with mana value 1 or less, or anything you want to do that has synergy for 1 mana artifacts. Interesting. For -3, yeah, you better stick with the Mox Ambers. You're more expensive mana rocks. Oh, this feels like it's busted in some way. I haven't figured it out yet. Probably go on Reddit and read about it. All right, it's ultimate says for -7. You get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn. Put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. So this is an emblem that's going to boost artifact creatures by +3/+3. I automatically think of the Ozolith, which is an artifact that moves counters onto creatures. Let's see. You're just building an army, making it go tall. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see. Maybe there's some shenanigans where you want an artifact to become a creature. reanimating that is powerful in general anyway, because non-artifact creatures usually sit on the battlefield and are not really combat threats, but you can transform it into a combat threat. And this is an emblem, so your opponents can't get rid of emblems, at least not yet. Then, what came out in Final Fantasy where you doubled the emblem's triggered ability? I believe that was like a Sephiroth. Hmm. Okay, Tezzeret, cool captain. Cruel captain, not cool captain. But we're gonna call him Tezzeret, cool captain. All right, you know he's gonna be expensive. I'm gonna guess when he comes out a month after, he's gonna be at least $10. $10. Okay, we got emergency eject for two and a white. That's a cool looking spaceship coming out of this like galactic asteroid. It looks like, right? Okay, it's an instant for 3 mana, destroy target non-land permanent. Solid, very good, very good. Its controller creates a lander token. Okay, it's an artifact with tap 2. Tap it, sacrifice this token, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Interesting. So I guess this represents like a spaceship landing on a planet, and when you trigger its ability, the creature or person, artifact, robot comes out of the space pod, and that's what it sounds like it represents. Pretty cool. This is just another way of like a Swords to Plowshare, where I believe it's Swords to Plowshare, where the controller, after you exile something, they get a land. But this is just at a slower pace. Uh, this has pros and cons. The pros is they have to tap mana and sacrifice this token to search the library that comes in tapped. So they have to do this later. The downfall, if you did this on a player who's playing Landfall, they definitely like this card. They definitely want a lander token. You're telling me a player who's playing Landfall can tap 2 mana, sacrifice this artifact, and search a basic land card and put it on the battlefield tapped their at their discretion? That's the con that I see so far. Or you're giving a player an artifact, and whenever an artifact hits the battlefield on their side, it triggers something. Ooh, I'm not sure about these lander tokens. Are these? Does it have more good than bad? And right now, I'm saying it's more bad than good. This is probably a really good removal. It's actually a really good removal spell. Instant speed for 3 mana. Eh, I try it. I try it. I try it. I would just watch who I would use it on. So look, this is episode 1 of spoiler season. I'm going in a random order of cards being released, so don't pay them any attention, any mind. In the right hand corner, I got episode 2 for my spoilers being released for Edge of Eternities. Go ahead and click on it and keep continue watching. Otherwise, share this. Share this, y'all.